Hi everyone, welcome back to Butchery 101. Today we're showing one method of breaking down a pork loin and giving away some meat. The giveaway is local to Seattle only, but we'll open this up to others in the future. Make sure though to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel because only subscribers are eligible for any giveaways. Also, please consider supporting Butchery 101 on GoFundMe. I've linked you in the description below and we'll talk more about that later in the video. I should also mention now that this video is one in a series where I'm cutting meat from the amazing books called Butchering by Adam Danforth. I've linked you below to his website where you can get your own copies and follow along with me. Catch up on other butchering pork videos in the Butchering Pork playlist linked in the card now. Now, let's get on with the meat. Okay, and so here is the pork loin. Essentially, this is the pig's back. So right here is the split from where the shoulder would have been. These ribs here are like baby back ribs. Those are the feather bones. That layer of fat is essentially like the top of the pig. That there is the diaphragm, also known as the outside skirt steak, or at least a part of it. This little dude here is the hanger steak, which most of us know of as beef, but pigs do have them too. That's most of the tenderloin right there, hanging out in the bones. And then this end of the loin goes into the sirloin, which then also turns into the ham. I should mention a few things before we start cutting, one of which is that the footage will be sped up to double speed and I'll pop in occasionally to highlight a certain technique or fun fact. But if you want a more in-depth, real-time version, please consider supporting Butchery 101 on GoFundMe. Backers get exclusive access to lots of cool stuff like live classes, private Q&A sessions, and of course, the more detailed video tutorials. There are two general sections of a loin. The rib section on the right, with all but one rib, and the loin, aka short loin or saddle section, to the left. Our first move is to split the rib section from the loin section. I'm so sorry for this awkward angle. I'm definitely still learning how to best film this stuff, but just so you all know, I'm hanging a portion of the meat off the edge of the tabletop to utilize gravity while splitting. It's really similar to the method shown in my picnic ham video, linked in the card now and in the description below. Oh, and full disclosure, I did not use the cleaver very much here. I've never really enjoyed using cleavers, so this method that I'm showing you now is what I've used for a long time, which is to cut between the vertebrae inside the cartilage discs and then kind of working away between the ribs themselves. It doesn't yield perfectly flat or smooth chops exactly, especially if you don't do it on a super regular basis, but it does do the trick. Especially if you don't happen to have a bandsaw or you don't enjoy saws or you're like me and have a handsaw or a cleaver but don't have the kind of kitchen equipment right now that you want to use it on. For example, you can totally see that there's a really nice stone countertop that I'm working on and I'm really nervous about damaging it in any way, so I just want it to be very gentle on my work surface. This, by the way, is essentially the move that you're missing when the meat goes out of frame off the edge of the table. So you can see that I'm using the weight of the meat itself to split it apart, and then I'm just barely going between the bones with my knife to release them. Again, it's not super smooth exactly. There's definitely bits of vertebrae that are kind of sticking up above the face of the meat itself, but it is a perfectly usable piece of meat, and these will still be super delicious when I do decide to cook them. Now let's work on getting the rib and roast into chops. You can see that the roast wobbles back and forth a little bit. That's only because I want the camera to be able to see where exactly I'm cutting, but under normal circumstances, I would just have the meat resting on a flat side. And then in the future for shooting, I'm going to be more generous with propping the meat up on towels so that I can safely cut without having to run this whole balancing act. Make no mistake, I hate chining rib roasts, but it makes carving and portioning way easier. The goal is to get a roughly 45-degree angle, but holding a saw steady at 45 degrees is awful. So I always prop up the roast so I can just saw straight down, and that has always been the case whether or not there's been a camera around. By the way, this is not a perfect chine job. You can definitely see that there's some button bones still left on the roast, but because I think the more important priority is to make sure that the loin is intact, I'm pretty happy with the way that this chining worked out, considering how long it's been since I've had to chine a pork roast. It's super important to always keep the meat really cold, so I'm going to pop this roast in the fridge while we work on the next guy. And now onto the short loin. This is the sirloin end. There's the hanger steak on the loin end here, and then the tenderloin. First, I'm going to remove the skin. This is a slightly different method from before because I want a piece of skin that has much less fat on it. Notice how you can see the blade moving underneath the skin. That's a good indication that you're getting close enough to the skin that you're getting as much fat off as you want. But make sure to be careful because you can see that the knife technically is working towards my own body, and you have to make sure that you are not going to slip and then stab yourself. That's a really serious thing. If you don't feel comfortable moving the knife in this way, then you can also just leave the skin on or do it the other way. had to cut the footage for time, but I did debone the rest of the loin roast, so we end up with a little bit of boneless tenderloin and a little boneless skin off loin roast. And now that the rib end roast has chilled down enough, I'm going to portion it. And now we'll work on the center rib section. I heard from another butcher once about roasting a whole loin with all the bones still on it. So I'm going to score this skin and dry age the roast for at least 3 weeks. Then I'll slow roast this whole thing. Follow me on Instagram to see how it turns out. So just to review, we went from this guy all the way to all of this stuff. And now for details about the giveaway. There are 3 prizes available in no particular order: 4 bone-in pork rib chops, 1 tied boneless loin roast, and 3 gorgeous porterhouses with a huge fat cap on each of them. So here's how the giveaway works. All of these terms are included in the description below, plus all other rules for the giveaway. Step 1. Subscribe on YouTube to the Butchery 101 channel, this one. Step 2. Like the pork loin video. It's this video. 3. Tag a friend in the comments who would like to see more butchery stuff. And 4. Be able to abide by social distancing and mask wearing guidelines while picking up the meat. Entries must be made within 3 days of this video posting, and I'll choose and announce winners next week. Pickup will be at Watson's Counter in Ballard. See their website for hours and menu. I will have their website linked below, so you do in fact have to be able to get to Ballard in order to win this prize. And although no purchase is necessary to enter or win this prize, it would be great if you wanted to pick up a beverage or snack from Watson's Counter while you're there to show appreciation for a fellow small business. Seriously though, winners must respect social distancing rules during pickup. No mask, no meat. They will decline you. And then finally, please enjoy your lovely local pork. Don't forget to tag Butchery 101 in your next post about your meat. Thank you all so much for joining me this week. Please check out my previous videos for more meaty and Seattle restaurant content. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment any questions you may have. I would love to hear from you. Next week, we'll revisit pork belly and spare ribs. Stay strong, stay safe, and unless you're working for a better future for us all, stay home. Also, wear your damn masks, y'all. Thank you.